Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast brought by Closers.io, where we explore the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Milan K, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced, the lessons learned, and the strategies fueling future growth. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Jacqui Higgins, the founder of Self-Worth Foundations, and a seasoned coach, author, and business executive with over 15 years in personal development. She guides women entrepreneurs toward clarity in balancing family, business, and health while building authentic ventures that align with their priorities. Author of Anchor Your Self-Worth, her global experience across 4 continents shapes strategies that help clients overcome inaction and ignite real breakthroughs, as seen in testimonials from new entrepreneurs who've gained confidence through her coaching. With that being said, Jacqui, let me officially welcome you to Founders Future.
Thank you so much, Milan. That was a wonderful introduction. I'm thrilled to be here. So
It's
thank you.
great to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time, being a part of our journey as well. I really appreciate that. We're going to jump right into this. What I love to do with every single one of my guests is a bit of traveling back in time. So before you even had this company, what were you doing before? And then eventually, what was the motivation for starting the business?
Yeah, it's interesting because I've balanced corporate experience, executive consulting, and then also entrepreneurial journey. And my entrepreneurial journey, the first one, was really the impetus behind Self-Worth Foundations. And so I am a former 7-figure, if you like, commercial design firm founder. And it was the dream I always had to be a designer, right? And from the outside, my business looked greatly successful. I checked all the boxes. I had revenue growth, clients, great reputation, all of those things. But what I found over time was that I was just feeling this disconnect with my business, this exhaustion, not because I was working a lot. We all do. That's part of the entrepreneurial journey, but because I was succeeding in a way, a traditional entrepreneurial way that wasn't aligned to who I am. And so it started to take its toll over time. And I realized I'm a creative, I'm intuitive, I'm like a lot of women, purpose focused, passion driven. And I was putting myself into this traditional entrepreneur box where it's output, push, push. And then one day I had this mirror moment, as I call it. And I looked at myself in the mirror. I'm like, I'm successful, but I don't feel successful. It feels like I have the weight
Mm.
on my shoulders and I'm exhausted. And doing this way is just not sustainable for me. And so that was the moment I stepped back and I thought, I need to figure out why I'm feeling this way. And so I started going down this journey of investigating and learning about self-worth, personal development, psychology, all of those leadership things. And I had lots of aha moments and I started to understand myself. But what I realized is I'm not the only one that feels this way. There are lots of women. This is more systemic than I realized. And so all of a sudden, it started to dawn on me that women, many times purpose-driven women, are they're successful, right? They're building these businesses, but they're running their business that's in contradiction to who they are and why they started the business. And so that's the reason I started Self-Worth Foundations, because I realized that you need this foundation of self-worth from which then to build an authentic business that you don't lose yourself in. You don't lose your passion. You don't resent working. It's just an extension of who you are. And so that's why self-worth foundations exist, because I believe self-worth isn't just an emotion, it's structural to business success.
Yeah. Jackie, I'm gonna say one thing. I feel like this is really talking clearly about the level of emotional intelligence that you actually have, because this is absolutely right. There is a lot of people, I know several of them personally, who really achieve success, but the
Yeah.
majority of the time, you see those people and you see them just pushing more, just pushing through, just bottling those emotions. So I find this very brave for you to basically recognize that, okay, this is not gonna be sustainable. So I'm gonna step back, I'm gonna figure this out and do it in my own way.
Yeah.
Good for you. You don't really see that every day. So
Well, thank
beautiful.
you. Yeah,
Beautiful. And you're absolutely right. There is a lot of people like that. So obviously, we're getting closer to who it is that you're working with.
mhm,
And this is exactly what I want to talk in this next part of the podcast. My goal is to really get some clarity for the listeners in terms of who it is exactly that you're trying to help right now. And
yeah.
also, what are the core offerings that you have in place for your clients? Tell
Mhm.
us all about it.
Sure. What I realized after going down this path is that I'm my own avatar. I start like a lot of business entrepreneurs wanting to solve the world problem. And then you realize that's not feasible. And I realized that I'm my own avatar and that I really want to serve passion-driven women founders refine and scale their business, but do it in a way that is identity-led, right? And so I've gone down that path. I've felt that burnout, I've felt that exhaustion, that disconnect. And so those are the women that I want to serve. But when I started my business, I was like this and then I pulled it back in. But I started as a coaching business. Let's focus on mindset and clarity, and all of those things are important. But what I realized is it didn't honestly move the needle for these women because they're capable, they're successful. And although mindset is important, and I believe it's foundational, as I mentioned, you need to connect those dots to your business, right? So I have I call it the self-worth success like framework. It starts with that self-worth, right? Understanding who you are, but then, and what are your values, right? What are those core things that you want to instill in your business? But then you define your business against that, and then you put structures and strategy on top of it. And so now you're designing a business that speaks to you. When I think about this wonderful phrase, I want to become an entrepreneur because I want to define life on my terms. It sounds so wonderful, but people jump in without thinking about what those terms are. So that's the foundation that I really help women to develop. And I started with coaching, as I mentioned, but I felt that was too limiting. So now I integrate coaching with business consulting. And so it is that combined effort that allows them to really recognize the steps they need to redefine or restructure in order for it to be sustainable, and that they can lead it from a position of power versus, and it's interesting, I call it there's this nervous system disconnect with a lot of people who are out of sync with their business. They get into this very reactionary mode versus stepping back and dealing from a position of power and strength and inner clarity. And I've seen in a lot of women I work with, what that turns into is that they're overgiving or they undervalue what they bring to the table, so they underprice things. And burnout is designed or presented as ambition when it really isn't. It's a disconnect. So I help women to connect all those dots so that they can do what they love, but do it in a way that serves them, not exhausts them.
This was a great pitch. I'm gonna say that. But also, let me tell you one thing. Looking at your industry, though, I absolutely love the angle that you took towards this because I feel like this kind of structure is quite unique to your industry. The
Yeah,
majority of those professionals are either leaning to the side of just coaching and working with those mindsets and
yeah,
really shifting the mental perspective, and the other ones are doing strictly business consulting. So I
mhm,
definitely see a lot of benefit in having the ability to combine them both. Now, when it comes to the client journey, first of
yeah,
all, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's also several different ways of how can people actually work with you, whether that's the one-on-one coaching, whether that's some one-offs training, whether that's maybe possibly group coaching, if I remember correctly. But walk us through how this actually works from the client perspective. What are the different stages? What is the frequency of working with you? Just tell us
yeah.
more.
Absolutely. Again, I serve primarily women who are in business, right? I do also help women who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs, which is some of the things that you talked about, groups, and then training, online training. That's really focused on that group to get them to that next level. But my primary audience is business consulting. And so how that works is they go through a very short kind of what's the word? It's like I don't want to say it's an assessment, but they answer questions just to make sure we're on the right page. And then we go through a 30-minute clarity call. And during that time, I learn more about them, their business, what their goals are. They learn about me, and we really decide, is this a good match? My goal is really high touch consulting. So I can't physically, but I don't want to coach 100 people. I really want this to be a strong partnership. And so once we go through the clarity call, we structure a monthly cadence. And I know to your point, when I was doing just coaching, it was once a week. That at this level of touch, high touch, that doesn't give people time to implement and integrate what we're talking about. So it's usually like a 60 to 90 minute twice a month. And then in between, there are things that we share. If they have key moments that come up, we'll jump on a call. Usually, I like to say it's 6 months duration. If they're really wanting to scale their business, there's probably a lot of moving parts that they're working on. Minimum is about three months. And that allows us to go through those different phases that I discussed and really nail down not only that core, it's not even confidence, self-worth is so much deeper than that, from which they can then make all the right decisions and really feel as if they're not selling themselves out in the process. So that's the structure. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, Jacqui, I also want to mention something that you basically mentioned that you don't really want to work with 100 people. It's not even like physically possible for you to coach that many people. So you're
Yeah.
a little bit picky when it comes to the alignment that you feel with your clients. So
Yeah.
we love to talk about scalability on this podcast, right? So I'm wondering, what is the model that you really have in mind when it comes to scaling this company and this project further?
Yeah. It's a great question because to that point, so because I straddle the entrepreneurial world as well as the corporate world, I have a great network. And so I'm running things in parallel. The first is warm referrals through like co-marketing. And then the second is through the Facebooks and everything else, just getting brand recognition and also authority in the marketplace for what I'm doing and why it is different. But I do think that the warm referrals through my network is probably one of the better ways because I've worked with many people over the years and they've seen my involvement with companies as well as in a contractual role. And so that is my goal. And building that base of raving fans, as we like to say, I think is will lead to additional referrals. And so that's my goal. It's a little different than just going down kind of the Facebook slow organic growth, which I think is important to do, but I'm running in parallel with really leveraging my network first and foremost. Yeah.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense considering how much experience you have in the industry. But also, when you refer to social media,
Yeah.
is everything happening on the side of organic, or have you also dabbled into paid advertisement just to create something more predictable, more scalable? Or what is your perspective on that side of the business?
Yeah. I think what I'm trying a couple of different things and measuring the success of each. So I haven't tried paid ads. What I'm doing is leveraging automations, leveraging AI, and trying to streamline the back end of what I'm doing out there. But it really is about, from my perspective, offering value. So I'm involved with multiple groups, but I'm posting on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn now too. It's almost like an authority. So I have a purpose-driven CEO newsletter that I post and it's all about here's some insights to help you in your business. And so I'm giving a lot on social media versus paying for the audience. And I'm finding that's working. It is more of a slow growth, but the people that are attracted to that, I think is more the right audience for me versus a blind audience. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And now that you basically walk us through what is happening really on the front of marketing and you generating those contacts and leads, I'm going to circle back for a second to my previous question. And I probably didn't formulate it correctly. But what I was really asking in terms of the scalability is basically the model that you're working with right now. So the majority of what you do now with your clients is one-on-one work. We all
Yes.
know there is only so many people that you can serve with your one-on-one time. I'm
Yes.
pretty sure you have the same
Yeah.
24 hours in a day that I do. So
Yeah.
that has its own little challenges here
It
and
does.
there. So
Yeah.
whether that means scaling in terms of leveraging on the group potential and
Mhm.
impacting a lot of people at the same time, or
Yeah.
possibly hiring other coaches to work under you, maybe working with the same methodologies, there's several different alternatives how you can make sure that this continues growing. So I just
Yes.
wanted to get some clarity in terms of what this looks like for you specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the group that I am supporting, partnering with, is ideally suited for mastermind type groups. So I'm coaching them, but there's always a greater audience of shared insights and knowledge. And so building those groups, having those events, if you will, where we're actually sitting down. I've been involved in like Vista and BNI and all of these other networking and groups and mastermind groups. And I think that there's tremendous value, and that's more of a high ticket item where you bring speakers in, you have more of that knowledge mind share. And I think that's a next step and progression. So it moves you away from, as you said, that one-on-one model, which is hard to grow and sustain. So that's one. I think for the aspiring entrepreneurs, offering coaching, and when it would always be group coaching, and then also online classes is huge. I think another way that I'm also looking at this recurring revenue has to do with AI, offering this automation back end that a lot of entrepreneurs may not understand and don't have time to do, and yet it helps them scale their business. And so I'm also building collaborative partnerships with people. I don't want to be the technologist, but I want to white label to help people scale their business faster. So I'm also building that network of individuals that will help me scale without it always being my time. So there are
I love
different
this.
ways that I'm looking at this. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, when it comes to this, obviously, there's a lot of activities that you really have to do on a daily basis. So I'm also curious, if you look at the future of the company, is it
Yeah.
your goal to really create your own internal teams, whether that's for marketing help, whether that's somebody for sales, closing the deals, whether that's any other department, or would you rather
Mhm.
just keep it smaller, more sustainable, and basically run this as a one-woman show?
Yeah.
What is the idea?
Yeah. And I wrestle with that as we all do, because there's this, I don't say it's pride of ownership. I went through that with my commercial design business. You just want to maintain the integrity of what I started. I would envision having a couple more coaches and ultimately putting them through almost like a certification, my own
Mhm.
certification, to make sure that there's a continuity in the quality and expectations. Because right now it is my background, my experience. I am the avatar that I'm bringing to the table. So I need to be diligent about multiplying myself. But certainly all of the back end stuff, I have someone who works with me on social media right now, virtual assistants. So a lot of that I don't want to spend my time on allows me to have more time to work with women one-on-one. But I do see a point and would welcome that, where I need to have a couple more people working with me to support this too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like this is going to be a part of the future, though. And like talking about the future,
Mhm.
specifically if you think about the short-term goals, maybe really the
Mhm.
next 6 to 12 months,
Yeah.
what would you say are those biggest goals, targets, revenue, milestones that you want to hit?
Yeah, I think one of the, and you mentioned this earlier, the reality that I'm blending two models together.
Hmm.
So getting that accepted, embraced, and then moving forward, I think is the first goal, right? It's a different model. And so having people recognize that foundation and the importance of that is key, which is why doing things like podcasts and doing webinars and all of those things are so important. It gets the message out in a different format. So my goal is I'd love to go from where I am now to probably at least doing 100% growth next year in terms of the number of people that I'm coaching. And then from there, I can start branching out. I am going to start publishing a library of assets for aspiring entrepreneurs, and that just works on its own in the back end. But that's my goal initially. It's an aggressive goal, but I think it is very doable at this point, as
It
long as
is.
I have people doing everything else. Right.
It is, but I love the ambition though, because that's the driver. So I love to see that. Now, when you think about this goal and really basically doubling the business in
Yeah.
the next year alone,
Yeah.
out of everything, what would you say is probably going to become the biggest problem to even make it happen?
Exposure and acceptance of the difference of this coaching methodology. And it is, I think that takes a period of time to help people to really integrate and understand the importance of those two things together, because everyone, coaching is becoming so ubiquitous. There are so many coaches out there, and there are business consultants out there. And so it really is, how do I really get people to understand the difference, which is, that's another reason why I think women are so pivotal to this. Number one, it's me, it's my avatar, but I also think there are more women going into entrepreneurial journey, and more of those women are purpose driven. So I think they're feeling more of what I'm helping them to overcome. So I think that path, once I forge it, will continue to get momentum. But I think that's the biggest obstacle for me initially. Yeah.
Gotcha. I definitely do understand you talking about the acceptance of the methodology and
Yeah.
you bringing basically something new to the table. Because as I said like 10 minutes ago, this is unique to your industry. So I completely get you on that front. But when you say exposure, what do you mean specifically by exposure?
I think it is getting the touch points, which is why the organic side of social media is important. Getting in front of people, doing a lot of speaking events, so you're gaining additional exposure than what, who I know directly. So it is just getting the message out and getting the brand recognition solidified. And I think it's like anything. It's once you get that flywheel going, it carries on its own momentum, but you need to get it to a certain part of growth potential before it starts really taking off on its own. So it's like any new venture. It takes a while to get that engine started and really rotating consistently. But then unless you do something completely wrong, you're good. You should be running on all cylinders at that point. So that's the intent. Did that
Yeah.
answer your
Yeah.
question?
It did answer my question. Absolutely. Thank you for bringing more clarity on that. And this is, by the way, what I love about these conversations, because we could potentially have this conversation 15 years from now and
Yeah,
still be talking about things that you maybe haven't had a chance to figure out yet, because this is what true entrepreneurship looks like, right? There's
yeah.
always going to be something that you need to overcome or find out like how to set up those better systems. It's just beautiful. But Jacqui, it has been a beautiful journey for you. For some reason, I have no doubt that you're going to take it to the next level and you're going to hit that double mark next year. Jacqui, thank you for taking the time today, sharing the story with me and the audience. I really appreciate your time. And if anybody from the listeners would like to get in touch with you, perhaps even work with you, how to go
Mhm.
about it?
They can actually reach me at probably through my website is the easiest way to do it, or connections. And that's selfworthfoundation.com. Yeah,
Selfworthfoundations.com.
yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
No S on the
Awesome.
end website. Yeah,
Oh, foundation. Okay. I'm sorry. Thank you for the correction. Okay. Lovely.
absolutely.
Again, thank you again for your time. It's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate
To
it.
to our listeners, if today's conversation inspired you as well, make sure to subscribe to Founders Future on your favorite platform. And also, if you're a business owner, more specifically a consultant or a coach, or you have an agency and you're trying to scale the business and really enhance both your sales and marketing efforts, also visit closures.io, get in touch with our team, and discover how exactly we scaled our company from 0 to over 30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on crushing it, and I'll see you in the next one.